In today's lesson, we used QR codes, the activity called QR Code Hunt, which was also a quiz. The lesson was about London, and the activity lasted about 15 minutes. The class in which we did the activity was second grade of Agro-Technician, and the subject is English as a foreign language. Number of students that day was 6. One of them was absent. Learning outcomes. After this class, students will learn how to search the web by using keywords, while at the same time they will learn some interesting facts related to London. To prepare the activity, I started the day before. I found online QR code generator for the quiz. There are a lot of them on the web. Almost all of them are free, and the one that I found on ClassTools was really easy to use. The first step was to find the title for the quiz, which was easy for me, it was London, and then to type the questions. I chose my quiz to have only 5 questions because I didn't have a lot of time on that lesson. It was the end of the school year, some students were correcting grades, so I assumed that I had 15 minutes for the activity. While typing in questions, you need to separate questions and answers. Answers will be useful to the teacher later so that you can grade and check answers of your students. Once you finish adding all the questions, you get access to all the QR codes. QR codes are marked and labeled, so here it says question 1 out of 5 so that you know which question will appear after you scan the QR code. Also, you will get access to all the answers, which you can also print out and keep for yourself so you can correct the answers later. After that, I had to find different spots, different places in school hall to place all the QR codes. I chose 4 of them which were easy to find, and one of them was a bit more difficult to find, so it was a bit more challenging to them. After that, I explained the rules to students in the class. They were divided in 2 groups of 3. There were 6 students, so it was really easy to do. And each group had to have at least one phone with QR code reader. They were allowed to use their mobile phones to find the answers to questions they didn't know. It turned out that they didn't know any of the answers, so they had to Google all the answers to questions, but that was partly the goal of the activity, to learn how to search for the information on the internet. And each group was given 5 pieces of paper on which they were supposed to write answer. I chose yellow papers for group 1 and white papers for group 2 so that I can differentiate them after they hand them in. The activity finishes when one group hands in all the papers with answers, and at that point the second group has to stop with their activity and they need to hand in all the answers they found so far. After that, I check the answers they gave me and I decide on how many points each group has. Students were all really eager to start the activity, and this is the shot of the first 5-10 seconds of the activity, where you can see that students scattered all over the hall trying to find the QR codes and trying to work together to find the answers. The questions in the quiz were the following. Question number 1, in which London park can you find a pet cemetery? Question number 2, what is Sherlock Holmes' address? Question number 3. Which famous bear shares name with both train and tube station in London? Question number 4. What was the Roman name for London? Question number 5. Name 3 places in London that Taylor Swift mentions in her song London Boy. The first 4 questions were simple. Actually, the answers are very easy to find. While for the 5th question, they had to find the lyrics to the song, they had to find all the places which could be in London, some of them are not, and then they had to Google where those places were, if London is actually the city where those places can be found. So it was a little bit more challenging, the last question. Here you can see how the activity went. So some students are searching for QR codes, others are trying to find the answer. But the team was working together all the time. No one was left out. And after about 12 minutes, group 2, which had white papers, handed in all their answers and won. All the answers were correct. Group number 1 lost one piece of paper with one answer, so they didn't win this time, but because we agreed that we are going to do this again, they have an opportunity to win next time. Here are the answers to the questions that they had. So, answer to question number 1, in which London Park can you find a pet cemetery? The answer is Hyde Park. What is Sherlock Holmes' address? It's Baker Street 221B. Number 3, which famous bear shares name with both train and tube station in London? The answer is Paddington. What was the Roman name for London? It was Londinium. And name 3 places in London that Taylor Swift mentions in her song London Boy. There were more than 3 places, so they could choose between Hackney, Bond Street, The Heath or Hampstead, Camden Market, Highgate, Brixton, Shoreditch, or Soho. And to conclude, this class is a mixed ability class, and the students are a bit difficult to motivate. So they don't really seem to be very interested in English, they don't seem to be interested in activities that we do in the class. But today they were all quite motivated, eager to start, they wanted to win, they wanted to compete and beat the other team. And the interesting thing was that even the students who usually struggle with English, so they're not really good English speakers, they struggle with writing in English, they were also able to contribute to the team because different members of the team had different tasks. And some of them were in charge of finding QR codes, spotting them in the hall. Others were scanning the QR codes to get the questions, and the third person tried to find the answer and then write it down on a piece of paper. So I really think that out of 6 students, they all worked really hard and they all contributed and they participated in the activity. And another thing they said is that it was quite interesting to them, they liked it a lot, and they would love to have more quizzes of this type. It is the end of the year, and I will try to do it next year in their 3rd grade. I hope you will find the activity useful. I hope you can use it in your class and while teaching something. It doesn't actually matter what you teach. It doesn't matter whether you will allow them to search for the answers or they need to write it without Googling. But I think it's quite interesting. If your students are competitive, then it will be highly motivating for them. If you include some sweet reward, then they'll be even more motivated to participate in the activity. Thank you for watching.